now take you to the broadcast of It's Time with Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Here's Reverend Martin.
All right, thank you, Dr. Blackwell. And let me say, Hotep Havaragani, trying to do some banking business. And Havaragani to my Africana Studies colleagues, contemporaries, and friends. And let me hasten on to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but certainly never good night and never goodbye, because I've always found goodbyes to be traumatizing to me since my wife died back in 2012. I'm still grieving her loss, and in spite of my faith, I still have my grief, and I trust somebody will understand and keep us lifted up in prayer. My name is the Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles, and we're located at 8916 South Main Street. That's 8916 South Main Street here in the city of Los Angeles. And we're being hosted by our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, of which the Reverend Dr. Della F. Holliness is the proud pastor. If you're over in the area, we invite you to come and worship with us or to be in the service, because God is moving, God is blessing, and it would be just good to see you. Make sure you let the ushers know that you heard about us on the broadcast, and we will be so happy thrilled rather, to get that information. All right. This episode that you're watching is entitled It's Time, which means it's social justice outlook, or through the window of social justice. And we trust we are attaining social justice in this present and evil world, this present wicked economy, this capitalistic society in which we are forced to live. I was informed that a friend of mine who is incapacitated and can't go into assisted living because she under Medicare, she would have to pay a copay of $6,000 a month. If you got to pay $6,000 a month as a copay, my goodness, And you know how high it is to be in assisted living, and you know how high it is to be in a rest home. Let's see, rest home has risen from $3,000 a month. I think the average rest home is now around $7,000 a month. And that's coming out of your Medicare, if you can afford Medicare. If you have enough Medicare, they tell you you got to work all your life to accumulate things. Then after you accumulate things, and you get down on the other end of life, and say, well, now you got to give away everything if you want us to help you. And so it looks like the poor person, the senior citizen, is just caught in a downward spiral of costs, and we can hardly afford the luxury of even dying or living in this current society. And God help you if you don't have children. And even those that got children, the lady I'm talking about was taking care of her daughter. So her daughter can't help her. And so these are kind of thoughts that I'm just throwing out there in passing, because they affect us and the way that we are traversing our odyssey through this world, going as far as God will lead us with our birthdays. We love to have birthdays. I got a friend of mine who's 99 years old, and he was just in France. Dr. Louis Brown, thank God for him. He was just over in France. He's back now, and we thank God for him attaining the age of 99. Of course, I had a member that when she passed, she was 106, and her sister before her was 115. So, you know, it means a lot to live a long time, but we're going to have to make some adjustments in our capitalistic outlook so that the elderly will not be cast out in the streets in the near future if the economic trends keep going up, but your pay, your income stays flat, because you can't, when you're 99, you can't work on a job no more. And so anyway, let's get to the point. We want to talk about Benjamin Netanyahu for a while, because of the fact that Israel looks like it dictates our foreign policy, and it was Israel that got us into the Iraq war. And remember how they pulled General Colin Powell under the bus with that speech he gave at the UN, saying that we know that Iraq has so many thousand pounds of yellow cake, and we know what building it's in, and all of that. And then we were lured into that fiasco, and nobody made money on that but Dick Cheney, Halliburton, and that the war profiteers, the war contractors who supplied the munitions and who got the contracts to build the bases and rebuild the city after we, the United States, had destroyed it. And we haven't found a drap, not a dram, of weapons of mass destruction yet. And we've been all over that country. We destroyed Iraq. But we still haven't found no weapons of mass destruction. And no yellow cake, for that matter. So that's how vicious Israel has been to the United States. It's always seeking to get us into a wider war. And it was seeking to exterminate the Palestinians in Gaza with the genocide, even at the United Nations International Criminal Court of Justice said that it was very plausible that Israel was committing genocide, and I can't stomach that type of outcome. And you shouldn't either. But these are the type of conditions, situations you get through when you let the tail wag the dog. Israel is a tail. They got no business wagging the head of the greatest nation on the face of the earth. But yet we are being led around by our nose by this tail called Israel. And we didn't tell Israel to attack Iran. No! The political situation and political calculus of Benjamin Netanyahu, he won re-election by one vote, and the next day he goes and attacks Iran so as to get all the minds of the people in Israel off of their distaste and their dislike of him, and get them behind him in this foray into Iran. And thankfully, within 1 week's time, over last weekend to now, we still have a nation, we still have a country, we still have a chance to do something else. And I, for one, and I trust I'm not the only one, say it's time for us to stop this tail wagging us, because our allegiance is to the flag of the United States of America. Our allegiance should not be to the nation of Israel. And while I'm on that subject, I looked up some notes on Mr. Netanyahu. He's been re-elected 5 times. First time in 1996, and he's been re-elected 4 5 times. There may have been somebody else in there for a little while, but he's been, like I said, re-elected 5 times since 1996. And this last time, which was in 2021, he was on the verge, just like Donald Trump, of being impeached. And what happened? Oh, this war started. And everybody had to rally around the IDF. And does that sound familiar to you? Yes. So I made some notes on Benjamin Netanyahu's family. It seems his father's name was Ben Zion Milikowski. And Ben Zion, of course, that means a son of Zion. And the Zionists are those rabid extremist Israelites who don't want any other nationality, especially Palestinian or Arab, to be in their land, to be in their area. I don't follow this term they try to call the Middle East. There is no Middle East. That was the folly of the European powers who wanted to put Egypt and Libya in the Mediterranean, take them out of Africa. And so that is why the conundrum of this Middle East, well, where's the first East, or front East, or back East, or whatever? Where's that at? How you gonna have Middle East, but you ain't got none of them others? But I digress. Let us read our scriptures before we get off in here. Remember, Proverbs 14th chapter, 34th verse always tells us that righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach unto any people. And then I quote the 12th chapter of the Gospel of Luke, that first verse, that last clause, Jesus talking to his disciples saying, beware the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. And if we ain't being fed hypocrisy, I got a bridge I want to tell you in San Francisco. We were being fed hypocrisy with a tablespoon. Amen. And the last verse I will read, of course, is one we all know, taken from Paul's letter to the church at Ephesus, which we call his letter to Ephesians, 6th chapter, reading from 11th and the 12th verse. It says, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. 12th verse, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Please note this principalities. Paul is the one that uses this word principalities in the book of Romans. And by the principalities, he's not merely speaking of the angelic principalities. No, he's also speaking of the ranking of the principalities that rule here on earth. Remember, we are all caught up in a political system, a skein, if you will, a matrix, as the movie producers tell us, a network. But we are all caught up in a garment, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, a garment of destiny. And we must make the most of it, because these principalities are organizations, but these organizations are always started by people, like Elon Musk, or Peter Thiel, or any of these billionaires who are behind the scenes, the Koch brothers, all of that cadre and ilk of people who make their wishes known to the people, to the puppets who are in power, and those puppets go and fulfill the wishes of their masters. That's the powers, principalities, the rulers of the darkness of this world, spiritual wickedness in high places. Take your pick. All of those, like I said, you have the Koch brothers, and you got Mark Zuckerberg, but you had so many others before them, you know what I mean? Before that, you had the Carnegies, you had the J.P. Morgan, you had the Rothschilds, and all of that ilk of people who make their wishes known and who pull the strings behind the scenes to orchestrate and manipulate conditions and circumstances to bring what they want into fruition. And these are the principalities and powers, of course, that we are references and must, because they affect us the most immediately. And not to minimize what Paul was speaking of when he talked about the angelic realms and the rankings in the angelic realms. But that notwithstanding, these angelic realms have a manifestation here in the earthly what word would I use? Down here in the earthly manifestation, I just use that word. And they are in people, because all of the scams that have been run on the face of this good earth over the centuries, too numerous, the litany is too numerous to itemize or to detail, but they are numerous. As you say, as when Jesus asked the demoniac, "What is your name?" He said, "I'm Legion, for we are many." And Legion is over 1,000 in Roman parlance, military parlance. And so you can see how we are impacted by all of these various human personalities that are guided not by altruistic or philanthropic or righteous forces or goodwill forces, let's put it that way, but no, they are guided by malice, avarice, envy, jealousy, greed, larceny, and all of those other types of manifestations. Elon Musk had no business looking into the private files of every person, every citizen of these here United States. But when he came into the Oval Office under the invitation of Donald Trump, he was given the power to start. Him and Vivek Ramaswamy, the one he threw him under the bus. They started a Department of Government Efficiency, and I haven't seen any government efficiency yet. Trump spent, I think, over $92 million on his birthday parade. We had the military out there, and the people got so tired of him, they stopped marching in step. All of that type of thing, but yet Elon Musk was allowed to able to have his minions, his staff, look at the Social Security records and the Federal Reserve records, and look at all of the contracts of all of the other contractors who contract with the U.S. government. He knows, and he was able to cherry pick the contracts that he wanted, and to get the United States government under Donald Trump to reject signed contracts that they had with Verizon to build this $2 billion communications network for the federal government. That contract went to SpaceX, which is an Elon Musk controlled company. It may not be SpaceX, but one of those derivative companies that he controls. And he is now in charge of the communications system and that type of thing. So you see how things are unraveling, Now, let me go back to my notes on Benjamin Netanyahu. I thought it was very interesting, and I wrote this down, and I tried to type it up, but I knew I couldn't read this yellow paper that well. But it says Benjamin Netanyahu's real name is Milikowski, which is Polish, which is named after a town in Poland where his father, Ben Zion Milikowski, was born. And he changed the family name after he, being Ben Zion Milikowski, changed the family name after they immigrated to what was then called Mandatory Palestine in the 1920s. A note right there. When Israel was getting ready to be reconstituted, the powers that be, which were at that time Britain, France, Germany, and the United States, maybe Spain as well, were looking for a place where they could establish the Jewish people. The first place they wanted was in Uganda. But Mr. Ben-Gurion and the man that wrote the book on the Jewish state said, no, we want to go back we want to be in Israel. Now keep in mind, these were German Jews, Ashkenazis, and they were brought back by the people who were in power under the Balfour Declaration, which was under the control of the British. At that time, the sun never set on the British Empire. And so they came back into Palestine and began to purge the people that were there. And what I mean by purging, attack their houses at night and kill up everybody, frighten the men, frighten the women, and drive them away from their homes. That's what the Palestinians call the Nakba. And that's what happened to them. And that was the Ashkenazi Jews coming back into Palestine from Germany. And again, you got to watch the money, the powers behind the throne, the principalities, a lot of Rothschild's money, a lot of private Jewish philanthropic money that financed the purchase of land in Palestine, not because there was nobody there, but because the people there had to be what? Driven out. And those that would not accept the compensation were driven out anyway. And so that Israel has always been, the Jew has always been a bully. Let's put it like it is. Has always been a bully. But I digress. The name Netanyahu comes from two Hebrew words, Natan, meaning to give, and Yah, or Yahu, meaning God. And you know, there are always derivatives of God, you know, so there's no sense in going down that rabbit hole. The name change was a common practice among Jewish immigrants at the time to adopt a Hebrew name. This was common among Ashkenazi Jews, which was Eastern European. Remember, Netanyahu has been elected Prime Minister of Israel 5 times, beginning in 1996. He is currently the Prime Minister, having been re-elected in 2015. He was elected again in 2021 under a cloud of suspicion after his indictment for fraud, bribery, and breach of trust. He was on the verge of being impeached, if not arrested, when the war broke out, which has now catapulted him into international recognition. Israel has always dictated U.S. foreign policy in the area. It was Israel that wanted to attack Iraq, I said that already, and was able to persuade George Bush to attack Iraq under the guise of looking for weapons of mass destruction. And remember, Colin Powell went before the United Nations and swore on a stack of Bibles that he knew what a yellow cake was, And he knew how down to the gram how much weapons of mass destruction Iraq had. And when we invaded that country and went all over that country, hey, thank you, Josh, 5 minutes. Went all over that country of Iraq, and we ain't found a drop, a gram, a grain, a grit of yellow cake or mass destruction yet. You hear me? And it was that same reasoning that Netanyahu was able to sell to Donald Trump to get him to bomb Iran last weekend, claiming that Iran was developing a nuclear weapon, not mentioning the fact that the United States itself is a nuclear power and that Israel is a nuclear power, although Israel doesn't allow any IEA members, Atomic Energy Agency personnel, to come and look at their Dimona facilities where they have their nuclear weapons. And it is rumored that they have over 400 nuclear warheads. Israel, I'm telling you, the country that's supposed to be so holy and so righteous and so pure. Yeah, take that to the bank and sell it if you can. But these type of actions and these type of real politics is what is governing our world at this time. And you and I need to wake up and smell the coffee and stop being so enthralled. As Abraham Lincoln said, we must disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country. You got to sometimes throw off your enthrallment. You know, like when you first get married, oh, you're just so enthralled with your mate, with your partner. And you're going to have to, if you're going to stay married, you're going to have to get away from that. You have to accept them as they are, because they are the same as you are. And I could say a little bit more, but I won't say that because this is a family show. Thank God. But you have to get past that if you're going to stay married, because the first time you see something inconsistent with your enthrallment, then you're going to get disillusioned. You're going to be ready to pack your bags and get out of there. And you can't make no marriage like that. You got to be able to accept that you are both human beings with weaknesses and also intelligence. You have strengths, you have times when you're on and you have times when you're off. And we all have our little eccentricities and peccadillos, as we say. And all of that has to be taken into account. However, on the international political scene, you cannot be enthralled with Israel because you say, well, this is the land of God. Where in the Bible does it say that this iteration of Israel is an iteration that God wants or that God accepts? Well, they would call God an anti-Semite, the way you read the Bible and what God said about the hypocrisy and serpents and hypocrites, and Jesus was not, he didn't spare, he didn't bite his tongue. Is that right? Anyway, I hear my theme music, and I hope I've said something sparked your interest to go and check the record on Netanyahu. And of course, all the writings, the books are out there. How the Jew Became White, that book is still out there. I got a copy at my house right now. And again, as I say, to one and to all, if you're working on a job and they don't want to pay you what you're worth, take my advice. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your time. If they don't want to pay you what you're worth, don't work further. Thank you, Doc. We're out of here. God bless you.